Understanding Source and Cause, Q and the Plan. November 29, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. There are three dates and three entities that every American should have cause to know and to memorize. All three occurred during the War of Independence. The first is the publication of the Unanimous Declaration of Independence on 4 July 1776. This created the Union known as the United States. The then-colonies redefined themselves over a period of years, first as the United Colonies and later as estates. The soil jurisdiction holdings were defined as private holdings of separate nations, and the geographic bounds of what would become states were recognized as states belonging to the people living within those boundaries, both as public and private holdings. In the Roman system of nomenclature, this gave rise to states including New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, etc., while in the English nomenclature, gave rise to New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, etc. The second is the creation of the United States of America on 9 September 1776. This created the Federation of States, an unincorporated holding company. This secondary union represents the international land and sea jurisdiction which underlies the soil of each state and the international powers accorded to each state, which were combined for mutual aid and benefit. This federation of unincorporated states is the doing business as name of the American states and people. The third is the creation of the States of America on 1 March 1781. This Confederation of States was formed under the Articles of Confederation to serve as an incorporated business structure doing business in the global jurisdiction of the air under the charter of the several states and in their mutual behalf. Both the United States and the United States of America are unincorporated entities, freestanding and existing under the direct provisions of the sovereign states and people. By contrast, the States of America was created as a separate chartered business enterprise of the several states and people to provide essential government services in the realm of global commerce. There is a clear progression and delegation of power inherent to this process. The states national jurisdiction gave rise to the states international jurisdiction, and the states gave rise to the states of states global commerce jurisdiction. There is an equally distinct progress in kind. The Union known as the United States is corporate in that it stands apart from each separate and sovereign state, and so is our federation doing business as the United States of America, but neither one of these entities are incorporated. They are independent, freestanding entities that are designed to do mutual business for the states of the living people and the estates of the lawful people of this country, in two separate jurisdictions, national and international, respectively. The Confederation begun in 1781 is chartered by the individual states and incorporated by them using the Articles of Confederation. The difference is akin to the difference between two independent businesses and a commercial corporation. Thus you may think of Massachusetts as an independent business and the United States of America as a federation of independent businesses. You may also think of Massachusetts and the people thereof as granting a charter to the state of Massachusetts and then authorizing its membership in a confederation of similar state-of-state franchises doing business as the States of America. So there are three different entities right from the start, separate in name, separate in jurisdiction, separate in date of creation, and separate in kind: Union, Federation, Confederation. The United States of America, and the States of America each served a different function and were designed to operate in different capacities. The United States, a union of states formed by unanimous declaration, derives its existence from the states and living people of this country. The United States of America derives its existence from the land jurisdiction states and the lawful persons known as people of each state. The States of America derives its existence from the states and people granting charters to states of states and thence to their confederation. The States of America, the Confederation of States, is the missing piece that went offline during the Civil War. This country has been operating like a 12-cylinder engine firing on 6 cylinders ever since, and nobody bothered to explain the situation to the populace so that this could be corrected. Therein lies the specific gross breach of trust amounting to fraud which has been committed against us by our own government service subcontractors and employees, both military and federal civil service. People often ask me about Q and the plan. It seems like that elements in the military and intelligence community have been working for some time to correct their operations and honor their actual service commitments. I have no argument against Q and their treatment of the deep state actors as criminals, for such they are. This is not now and never has been about politics, race, religion, or much of anything other than fraud and commercial crimes. This is about identity theft, impersonation, constructive fraud, unlawful conversion of assets, inland piracy, human trafficking, enslavement, illegal securitization, patent, trademark and copyright fraud and infringement, press ganging, peonage, extortion, racketeering, kidnapping, collusion, conspiracy against the constitutions and a host of other heinous crimes, mostly of a commercial nature and all committed against the people of this country and our estates. Perhaps it was the existence of 800 FEMA camps and industrial-scale foreign military operations staging out of free trade zones within these United States that finally jolted at least some members of the Joint Chiefs awake and alerted patriotic members of the officer corps and senior enlisted. Maybe it was our general civil orders issued in July of 2014, denying them all any plausible deniability, that kicked the football hard enough to get things moving. So long as the ball is moving in the right direction, and the restoration of good order and public safety is secured, we can't complain about their initiative and the arrest of large numbers of criminals. We estimate that if law already standing on the books were to be satisfied, upward of 2 million people in this country would have to be arrested and charged with heinous offenses against their fellow man and against the lawful government of this country. We must, however, point out that these actions are not, by themselves, sufficient to restore the government we are heir to, nor to provide for its correct functioning. In order to get the 12-cylinder engine back up and running, we have to assemble our states of the Union, we have to severally charter new American states of states, and restore the States of America Confederation in order to do that. Beyond that, we must invest in educating a great many people about their actual government and their responsibility for it. Self-governance begins with attitudes learned and responsibilities accepted at home, at school, at work, and in the social fabric of a country. It cannot be achieved by the promotion of dependency and victimhood and unearned trust. Our country has been steered off track deliberately and kept off track for generations by foreign interests we mistook as friends, allies, and treaty partners. They have used us as gun fodder in their wars for profit, and stolen us blind for 150 years. It cannot be supposed that restoration of our government or our educational system can happen overnight, after such a long and damaging period of abuse by foreign powers and misdirected public employees. Instead, we must patiently expose and understand the rot we are dealing with, and secure as much assistance, goodwill, and understanding as possible going forward. This same system of deceit, impersonation, identity theft, and commercial criminality has infested not only the U.S. territorial and municipal governments, but similar incorporated governmental services corporations worldwide. So, by all means, let the Q plan materialize, but let's not fall asleep again and think, oh, goody, things are back on track, because it will take major work on all our parts to finally accomplish the restoration of our self-governance. Help support this work by visiting www.annavonreitz.com and look for the donate button. Links to this article and more can be found in the video description box.